Hi, everybody. Okay, so what we're going to be doing today is what is affectionately known as an ashcan zine, mostly because they are the simplest to be able to dispose of if it turns out you don't like them. Because these guys, as you can see, no staples, and they're entirely made out of one sheet of paper. So this is great because also, as you can see, this particular one was made on an old order form from my old job. So you can, as long as you've got paper that has at least one blank side, you can make one of these. So I am going to swap my camera in a minute to pop it down so you can all see it, but I'm going to recommend that you have a sheet of printer paper if you want to follow along. You're going to want to have something that you can use to crease the edges. I just usually use a pen because, like, you don't need a fancy bone folder or anything like that. It's fine. Like, okay, those are nice if you're working with, like, really fancy watercolor paper that, like, breaks if you look at it funny, but you're not. You're working with printer paper. Printer paper is forgiving. Printer paper also doesn't cost, like, $10 a sheet. I like printer paper. It's nice. You're also going to want to have something to cut with. You're only going to really need to make one cut. I usually use scissors for this. I've seen people use X-Actos. I've seen people do tears, but let's make this easier for ourselves. Have the snip snips. Okay, and I'm gonna swap to the other camera. Boop, 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 doop. Come on, come on. Yes! Aha! Yes, I have this very fancily on a broomstick. This is literally just taped in place. It's kind of hilarious, but this should give us what we need. Gonna make sure y'all can see. Let's get some stuff out of the way. So we have one sheet of paper. Oh, did you drop? You dropped a little bit. While we were all chatting, my rig decided to try and sneak off. So I'm going to fix that real quick. Come on.
It's okay. We're all very DIY here.
Oh, yeah. This is just DIY in that it is quite literally a broomstick. Stay. Okay. There we go. Now you can see the full sheet of paper pretty well. Alrighty. So you're going to take your sheet of paper and you're going to fold it up kind of like a hot dog. When I did this talk with a bunch of kids, they kept calling it hot dog style and it stuck. So you just fold that in half. So it's long edge to long edge. I usually just use the side of the material and just crease that sucker. And don't worry, I'm going to be going through this twice. So if you're ever like, what the flip are you doing, Kat? That's okay. We're going to be going through this twice. So yeah, got that in half? Cool. All right. Then you take this short side and this short side, and you're going to have them hang out, get coffee. And you're going to use your little presser again. Just press that down the side. The reason for this is you can totally use your nail, but as it gets the number of folds, it's going to get a little harder to do. So then you take, again, that short side and that short side, fold it again, smack that thing in the middle with your creaser, and just push along. Now at this point, you've got yourself actually a little, like almost a little foldable accordion book. So you can actually make a zine like this, but we want it to actually have like paginated pages. So you take it out so that you've got, you know, these quadrants. You've got 4 here, 4 here. Then you fold it in half, short side to short side. So I'm going to label this so you can see, and I'm going to rotate it. So hang on. All right, so the folded line is right here. You got that fold. It's not showing up as well as I would like. Let me get something bigger. Come here. There we go. Much better. I approve. So the edge is right along here. So as you can see, you got the flappy bits. Okay. Fold is right here. Now here's the legs. I always kind of think of this as a pair of pants at this point. It's a little silly, but it kind of like, it's like you got the opening to put yourself into it, and then you've got these 2 little legs. Okay. All right. And then here's the cool part. You lift it out like this. You fold again hot dog style. I'm going to show it from the upside, but like all you do is you pop the edges together, smooth it out with your hands, and then just fold it. So you see you've got this kind of area here. Got the little areas there. Then you just fold that sucker in half again. Just smooth it out from that main crease. And boom, you've got yourself a book. So as you can see where it all originally was. Something I usually recommend you do, especially if you're working from like your first book, is actually just label what everything is. So I'd be like, okay, this is the cover. Here's page 1, page 2. That's 3. It's 4. Forgive my terrible handwriting. That's 5, 6. And a back cover. The reason being is that when you're working on your little book, you can either work on it in book form, or you can unfold it out and have it really easy to be able to figure out where you are. So you're like, okay, here's your back cover, here's your cover, first page, second page, 3, 4, 5, 6. The nice thing about that is I'm going to show an example from another piece that I did. Actually, no, I think I'll just do it on this one. We got time. Let's do this. Okay, let me just get myself another piece of paper so I can show. So I'm going to tuck another piece of paper under here. We got the cover. Let's say we wanted to draw something on here, but we have like a really thick, chunky marker. And heck, maybe we wanted to use a Sharpie. Like these guys photocopy so well. They smell terrible, but they photocopy really well. And we're just gonna like put that on there. Here's the thing. It's kind of hard to see, but there's some bleed through right on the other edge of the paper. I'm gonna really put the Sharpie on so you can see. I usually don't quite go this thick on Sharpies, mostly because I really don't like the smell. But yeah, you can kind of see there. You can see the bleed through. So that's part of the reason why folding out your book can be really handy. If you don't want to fold out your book, and you're like, oh, hey, I want to be able to like see this cover. Remember that you can always slide another piece of paper in between pages. I'm just gonna really do that. And as you can see, there's a little bit of residue. There's no residue on that other page. Okay, cool. All right, so I'm gonna run through the folding process one more time before we start getting into like what you can actually do with this tiny, tiny book. So hang on, let me grab my other piece of paper because I put it somewhere and now I can't find, there it is. Sorry. I'm really glad you all can't see the rest of my studio. It's an absolute mess. So here we go. We are going to fold this one hot dog style. So long edge to long edge. So we've got this nice long series here. Gonna use the Sharpie this time. Crease that guy in the middle and just smooth that out. Okay, so we've still got our flappy edges right here. We're gonna take that short edge, have them meet the other short edge. They get coffee, you know, something happens. I don't know if it's platonic or romantic, but it seems like something's happening there. Okay, then we take that short edge again and fold it over. You might have a little trouble at this point because it might want to stay in certain places because it's so many layers of paper. So you just push again. And the reason being for this thing here is because this is so many layers of paper, it's gonna be a lot easier to just use the edge of your pen to just press it down than your finger. Like I once gave myself a groove in my thumb because I was folding all these for a convention, and yeah, that was not my smartest move. That was not. So yeah, this is actually, I've seen people do zines like this, so they don't have to do the cut folds where it actually folds up and like this is their front cover. So just so you know, that is a perfectly legitimate way to make a book. But I really like the page style. It's my thing. So you smooth it out again. You got your 8 quadrants. And you're just gonna fold it again so that the two short sides are meeting. So right now here you've got the fold, the edge, and this is your meeting point of all those folds. So from the folded edge to that midpoint, you know, like it's got a big old dot there. Work with me, camera, as I wave a sharp object at you. You're gonna cut just from the top of the fold, right there. So you got kind of your waistband, you got your two pant legs, little flappy flaps. Then you just unfold it, fold it hot dog style again. So it looks like this. From the top, it kind of looks like this. It's like you got a mouth going on there, like a little weird square mouth. Yeah, Carlos, get right. Okay. Flatten it that way. And then since this has a bent edge upward, you can kind of see it from here. I usually like to just bend with it. So I'll just fold that in half again, take my handy dandy Sharpie, and just smooth that sucker right out. And yeah, that's how you get yourself a little book. Okay, I'm just gonna check the time, make sure we still got plenty of time. Awesome. Okay, so now that you have your little book, you're probably thinking, what the flip am I supposed to do with this now? And that is a fair point, because there is a lot of stuff you can do. So one thing to do is you can use this for drawing. You can just draw directly on this. The thing to keep in mind is if you want to pass these out, you're probably going to have to use a photocopier. So you have to think about how will this photocopy. So let's say I wanted to draw a robot because that's kind of my thing. Like, yeah, like, you know, real original cat. But you know what? I like my robots. I like my robot monks. That's kind of my deal. I'm going to draw one because they are adorable and also kind of flaky, and I appreciate that. Now, here's the thing. One is showing up pretty well with the pencil. Thing is, pencil and photocopiers, like, we've all tried to photograph, like, pencil, and it just doesn't work. So I'd be like, okay, I'm probably going to need to make sure that one will show up. You got a couple of options. One is you can use a fancy dancy inking pen. I really love these. They've got a little bit of a brush tip. They're kind of wiggly. They're by a company called Tonbo. But let's say you don't have one of those. Goodbye. I fling you onto the floor. So you're like, okay, well, what the heck am I supposed to do? Honestly, you can just use like a black ballpoint. Like here, this is actually a just energy ball, like I think Energel liquid gel ink. I got this from an office supply store. And all I'm doing is just running it a couple of times. You see how that eye pops a lot more? Just gonna do a really quick job here. But as you can see, I'm just scribbling over the lines that I really want to show up when I photocopy this sucker. And you can also use it to do shading too. Like, see, just by adding multiple scribble lines. You can also use this for even doing like, here. See a little speech bubble? And as you can see, just adding that little bit of ink is going to show up way better when you photocopy. Like with this scene that I did here, this is actually the photocopied bit, and this is all ballpoint. So you can see like a little bit of some of the lines do fade out a bit, and that's just because the photocopier couldn't pick that up, unfortunately. But as you can see, it photocopied pretty dang well. Yeah. One thing I do recommend is if you ever want people to be able to find your stuff later, just put some contact information on the back cover. Like I just usually put my website and like my social media handles, just because if they like it, they're probably going to want to find more of your stuff. So, but yeah. And you can also use your Sharpies in this case. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to slide a piece of paper underneath the robot. The reason for that is that's going to protect this side from getting all covered in gosh darn Sharpie. But yeah, see how it just like, you can really quickly block out large areas that will photocopy really well. If we have time, I might actually see about photocopying one of mine, because I do actually have a printer with photocopying, so you can kind of see how it changes. I wish I'd thought of that 30 seconds earlier, or maybe even an hour earlier, but I just thought of that. So, you know, that's how we roll. We're doing this DIY.
Well,
And by that, I mean sometimes I come up with ideas mid thing.
I think we do have time to do that, Kat, if you want.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah,
Okay.
we're only 18 minutes in. So,
Oh, sweet. Okay. I have no sense of time. Can you tell?
yeah.
But yeah, you can see how just adding that pop of black really helps. And just that scribble. I'm just going to add one's little cowl because one is a little fancy critter. I love drawing one. They really just like, they're basically me at my most, like I've had too much tea and cannot even. You can't see their other limbs, but you know, that's okay. We know they're there. Okay, so that's one thing you can do, is that kind of just drawing it like that. But there's actually also a bunch of other stuff that you can do, which is, this is where we're going to get into the fun bit. So most of the stuff I've done with scenes has been mostly black and white, because that's what I do, is I mostly do black and white inking. But there's a lot of cool things you can do. So currently I have a cheap Ars glue stick that I got from Staples. Got a pack of like 3 of them for $3. So it's something you can usually find in an office supply store. And what I've also got here is actually an old map. So let's say I'm like, I kind of want to have like some playing around with imagery here, some kind of pop here. So I'm going to take my scissors, and hopefully if I can get on the camera, come on camera, work with me here. There you go, good camera. I'm going to take this quadrant, map, on the floor you go. And ooh, what about, ooh, that'd be fun. Hang on. Ugh. Taking my bag of, I kid you not, this is entirely old tea bags. I don't have a problem. We're going to take that because I am going to take the words from it. You can also do this with old magazines. I have a lot of those. I have a problem with throwing things away, mostly because I keep going, ooh, I can use this in a collage. So I will warn you, that might be your, if you start doing collage zines, just put a cap on how much you will keep hold of. Okay.
I find junk mail also works well for this, because I'm still
Yes.
getting so many circulars and so many magazines. So you can make.
Yeah, junk mail works great for this kind of thing. Like I actually did a collage once that was entirely hands from different junk mail I got, because it was all like reaching hands, hands holding credit cards. And I'm like, what if I just take those out of context? So that's kind of what I'm doing here, is I'm taking this little piece of map. Just gonna, no, come back here. Sorry, my surface is slightly angled, and so everything just wants to roll off into the oblivion that is behind my desk, and it's like, no, get back here. Okay, you just stick that in place. I usually recommend just rubbing it with your fingers. You start kind of from the middle and like work your way out. You can also, if you've got a flat top, you can just use that. Now here's the cool thing. Now remember, you're going to be photocopying this. So the colors on this are going to change to grayscale. And we're going to see that. You're going to see that when I photocopy it, where the green is going to turn to gray, the white will show up, the yellow will show up as a lighter gray. So just keep that in mind when you're popping things together. And I also keep around extreme piles of old kids stickers, because honestly, I got to find my drawer where I can, and stickers are it. But the neat thing about it is it means you can always, if you can't draw or you don't feel confident in your drawing, you can use that as a way to add characters if you wanted to tell a smaller story or something like that. So let's say I'll take this bit. Come on. glue yourself in there. Sorry, I realized I wasn't on camera there. Let's say I'm gonna stick that in there. There we go. Then I'm gonna take the Sharpie after putting a little pad underneath. And I'm just gonna turn that into a speech bubble for the dinosaur. And you can always use your ballpoint here to like have more commentary. So yeah, just by adding a few small things, you can really pop the way it's going to look. So you can go from something that'll look more like this, where you have the more sketching. And this is just a regular number 2 pencil. I just happen to really like using mechanicals because I have control issues. And you can make it pop using the black and white. You can also play around with stickers in this way. I am actually going to grab a piece of junk mail, and so I'm going to show how you can actually do using words. Or ooh, I've got it. I have an old broken copy of the Fellowship of the Ring. We're going to use that. That's going to be great. Hang on, it's right over here. Come here. Aha! So the reason for this is I found this in the garbage. This poor book, as you can see, it's missing pages, it's lost a lot. But if you find stuff like this is brilliant for making your own zines, especially if you don't really like doing your own drawing. Because, all right, let's take a page. Come on, out you come. My bookbinder uncle is crying right now, and he doesn't know why. I'm sorry, Uncle John. I promise I repair most of the other ones. This one had lost all of chapter 6. Okay, so you've got this page. Now you can also use a piece of junk mail, whatever you'd like for stuff like this. Now just keep in mind, your page is about this big. As you can see, this is not going to fit entirely in here. But one thing you can do is by taking the letters and words, you can be like, okay, I like the word bitter. I mean, sorry, I really like really bitter green tea, so, it's appropriate. And it's like, bitter, his gaze fell steeply, which there rose fangs. I don't know, I got werewolves on the brain. Straight ahead, swirling smoke. Okay. And you might be working with something that's just telling you, hey, you have a bill due in like 6 days, and you're like, okay. So you might, you won't want to do something with that. So you can use those words too. There's a lot of, it's kind of neat. It comes kind of from blackout poetry, where you have something that's like you have something there, and you try and work and make something interesting out of the material you have. With this, I'm going to take my Sharpie, and I'm going to clear around all the words I want to keep. And I'm also just finding it really funny that I'm using Tolkien, because I've been listening to these podcasts that go into medievalism. And it is hilarious how much of Tolkien is totally based on him being a medieval professor. It's really fun. So completely not what I'm teaching, but I just thought that's really cool. Because I read these books as a very young sprout. My mom did voices, so it's like, aw. So it's a neat way of looking at a childhood book. Okay. You got this. So, you're gonna take your snips. You're gonna snip that right out. Okay. Don't throw this away. You might have some use for it later. So now you've got your little bit of blackout poetry which you can just glue right into place. I'm gonna add a little bit more on the edge there because turned out I missed it. There we go. Oop. Keep thinking the camera is farther closer to where my chest is, and then it's like, oh wait, no, it's tucked a little farther out there. Okay. So if you're working with really thin paper, it might curve a little bit with the glue. That's okay. Just work with it carefully if it's like that. Then you just glue that into place. Do the same smoothing action. And there you go. You didn't have to do any lettering. All you did was you took a piece of media that was just there and you repurposed it into something else. And again, you can also use this as a way to like add drawings and things to it. I'm just going to do, because we got the swirling smoke. And again, I've got my little like hooded guys on the brain. I'm going to do some smoke effects. You know what? Let us take that Sharpie again, because we've got the darkness here. I'm thinking it might be kind of cool to like blend the two together by just filling in around the smoke.
Kat, this looks really cool. We're about to the halfway point. So after this, if you'd like to scan it and show people the results, that would be awesome.
Heck yeah.
And then we can move into the Q&A.
Sounds good. Okay. Yeah, and as you can see here, instead of following really the lines of the drawing, I'm just kind of blocking them out. That's because a lot of the pencil is going to just plain old disappear or not show up as well. You can use something known as a non-photo blue pencil, because there's a particular color of blue that just does not photocopy well. It's been used by comic artists, by people who've done graphic design for ages. Thing is, you can usually only find it in specialty stores, so that's why I'm not really bringing it up too much, but just so you know, it is something you can use, and it does make your life a little easier. So we're now going to take our little book here, and we are going to take it to the photocopier. I'm going to swap my video so you can see what I'm doing. Okay, here we go. Work with me here. Don't mind me as I cuss out my poor benighted printer. Okay. Place. The one thing you got to keep in mind is like sometimes it'll buckle, so gotta get right. I don't want a fax. Yes. You gonna work with me here? This is always the moment of truth. Woohoo! It worked! Aha! Okay. Yes. All right. So this is actually the back of a comic of mine that I misprinted. So don't mind this. We're wanting to look at this. So I'm gonna swap the camera again. Chill there, my friend. Okay. So from our little book here, this is actually what we got. So as you can see, the pencil lines, I'm going to use a handy dandy pointer in that I'm using this pen. So as you can see, the pencil lines do show up, but they're a lot fainter. You can see them there, but they're kind of light gray. Most of what really blended together was the black. Like that black, even though this is two separate pieces, blended when you photocopied it. And look at that, like all of those greens and the rest of it, I could have sworn these would have turned gray. They didn't. They actually just turned into lines. So you have this really neat kind of lined effect. Then you've got the dino, you've got a little bit of the toner moving through here. This is the cool thing about photocopying for me, is that it's almost like, it's like a fingerprint. No one fingerprint is going to be exactly the same. And yeah, and so the thing is, if you wanted to, let's say you had this little book and you're like, oh man, well, how am I going to turn it in your book? You're just going to do the same thing you did to make your book. So do the same thing, fold. But yeah, you can see the pictures. Fold one more time. Try not to get toner all over yourself. Fail miserably, because that's kind of how I roll. Just do that same thing. Snip down the center. And boom. Yeah, you got yourself a little photocopy book. So you can see here, I'm going to fold them so you can actually see them as a comparison. So yeah, the black comes through as a little bit less streaky than it does in when you've drawn it. That's just because photocopiers are mostly looking at like negative space. Now, come on, focus. There you go. Good little camera. Yeah, and you can see here, like the colors really change when you do photocopying. But it does mean that if you think in terms of like, this is going to be negative space or, you know, bright, you know, just like just the white of the paper, although you can also photocopy onto colored paper. I've actually done that with black and white comics of mine. I've printed them out on pink or on green paper. So do not think you have to only photocopy on white. No, you can do anything you want. You just have to make sure it's readable. That is my only caveat, is just make sure somebody can read it. So don't like print on deep purple paper and try and use black, because we'll basically be sitting there being like, I can't see out of it. So no, none of that. But yeah, like these two here, you see, these photocopied really well. You've got this photocopied into a big old solid black almost, even though it's a deep green. So yeah. And that's the cool thing. I've actually seen even people use like little things like this, these are, you know, stickers you'd probably get for like tests and things like that. But you can totally turn them into characters in a comic. You can totally draw, as I've got going on here. You can also draw it like this. You don't have to stick to the book format. You can do it like this too. And as you can see, this just flips up like a flip book. Boop. Yes, and it's tiny fat dragons because I love them. You can't go wrong with extremely round dragons. But yeah, the cool thing about this though is this means as long as you have your original to be able to photocopy off of, which actually I have one of my originals that I did. So if you've seen me at conventions, you've probably seen this one. This is basically my friend Tim and I as a hedgehog and a cat, because we co-play games and it's just things we've said out of context. You can see that I was working with a really drippy ballpoint, so I actually used whiteout. I don't know if it will show up on camera. Come on, show up. Hopefully it does. But yeah, this is actually, I did this all with the non-photo blue I mentioned, instead of a regular pencil. And then I just used a ballpoint to just ink over it. And that pretty much gives you an effect like this one. I unfortunately don't know where the original is of this one, or I would have totally had it, but I don't have it right now. Yeah. Yeah, if we've actually got time, I can photocopy this one so you can all see how non-photo blue works. Do we have time for that, Molly?
Yeah, and then we'll go into the Q&A, I think.
Perfect. Okay, swapping cameras again. Let's go.
Also, Q&A is next, so if y'all have questions for Kat, you can type them in chat, or I'll quit recording for the Q&A and we can just, you could just ask them in real life as well.
Come on. Stay. This is always the tricky bit. Okay. The problem is because of the folds, it wants to fold up, so. Come on. Copy for me, hon. You gonna copy? Nice. that will show you a few things to keep in mind also when you're making your book. I'm gonna pop this video the other way again. Okay, so you can see that I put things kind of close to the edge of the paper. That is something to keep in mind if you want something to be read, because unfortunately, you can see it kind of got cut off right there. So that's something that if, like thankfully everything else fairly stayed within bounds, but it's something to keep in mind when you're making your book. If you've got a really interesting link or something you want people to look at, or maybe you've got like a bit of dialogue, try and keep it away from the edges of the paper, because unfortunately, not every photocopier is going to be able to get that edge really well. Like my photocopier is a good egg, but it has a tendency of chewing paper sometimes, and it goes for the edges first. But the cool thing here, I'm just going to fold this so it's a little easier for everyone to see, is you can see there's no lines. There's not even a little bit of pencil there. But if you look here, I don't know if it'll show up, but you can see light blue, a little bit there. That is the magic of non-photo blue. It is seriously just that photocopiers, with the way that the lights are set up, just can't seem to catch that. Now, if you look here, the pencil that we did does show up. Like you can see it. It shows up as almost like a gray line. So you can totally use that as an effect. You could make an entire zine using pencil, photocopy it, and you'll get beautiful shades of gray. But if you want, you can also ink and then erase. Just, regular old eraser will do fine. I love white vinyls mostly because I erase kind of hard and they're a bit more forgiving. Let me grab one of those so you can see. Here's one of those. Come on, where's my hand? There you are. Yeah. These guys, they're great. It's basically a big old block of tofu that happens to work really well as an eraser. They don't tear paper as much, so I love them. I go through them a lot though, because I make a lot of mistakes. But yeah, that's kind of all I got here, is pretty much just go out, make zines, have fun with it. And remember, the nice thing about these is if it turns out to be not something you like, whoop-dee-dee, cut it up, use it in another zine. You can keep remixing as much as you want. These are literally about 10 cents to make. They're really easy to hand out. You can even put them into greeting cards. That's actually how I send these to my Patreons, is I'll sometimes make them and then send them. I really want to start doing one a month. I just haven't gotten around to it because brain, because my brain was not there. But yeah, they're really easy. There's no staples. Go nuts. You'll have fun with it.